the challenge of local action remains, let me say local action and local leadership on climate action remains a systemic one, simply because of the architecture of the climate change governance itself. It's a global issue, and a lot of things are driven by what Peterson just said, the global politics and all that. So for a long time, local leadership and local issues really that shape vulnerabilities have been left out in the normative policy making or climate governance, and that remains an issue even from Bellum. And just to be a bit more specific, while at Bellum I was trying to follow the global goal on adaptation process and the indicators. And one of the things that came out is that now we had the experts who had developed a set of indicators that were being presented at the COP to the parties. And it was really very clear that the process through which those indicators were developed were really technical. It was more a technical process, which basically, sometimes did not, account for the social systems of adaptation and vulnerability quite adequately. So what we saw is that when these indicators were subjected to the discussion, so it was a huge situation whereby a hugely technical process is meeting a political process. And that was a bit of a challenge. So the outcome of the indicators was that, yes, there was reframing of some of the indicators that were presented, but at the same time there were concerns by a number of parties, especially from developing country context, about how those framings really reflect or speak to the context, which was actually really expected. Because of the very nature of the process. But the big thing here is basically what I said at the beginning, the nature of climate governance as a global process that really has a lot of this harmonization and consensus requests. So the kinds of indicators, and this is where I see again from the Bellum process in the GGA, where I see again the local voices, the local opportunities to drive change disappearing, is the aspect that most of the resulting indicators, if you look at them carefully, they are largely output-oriented indicators. While they're output-oriented indicators, we know that the issues that shape vulnerabilities actually are actually within the process. The inequalities that really shape the vulnerabilities of different social groups at the local level, which then could inform more transformative local climate action, are actually within the process that shape these conversations at the local level. So that process part of things is not properly or adequately captured in this new global governance and adaptation through the GGA. And what that means is that even through these particular indicators, we are going to continue perpetuating this top-down approach, whether it's in terms of reporting. The frameworks are going to be more top-down. The financing aspects are going to still be driven by more top-down. So breaking the systemic cycle of inequalities and lack of proper inclusion of even local innovation in the process becomes a major issue.